Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 67 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Last episode, I think I mentioned to you guys that I was starting to become a little impatient with my mining system. So when I built this thing, it applied and worked at the time, but at this point it's gotten to the point where it's a little too slow, and even though it does do a pretty nice job of just completely destroying the world's chunks, I think I'd like to expand it and make it a little bit crazier. So what I think I'm going to do is, well, a couple things. I'm going to upgrade this mining well system and have a pretty crazy mining system planned. It's going to pretty much be using mining wells, but I would like to continue to use this nifty computer remote control thing, and I'd like to do a couple other things. So my plan kind of is to modify the existing frame mining system that I've got, throw some mining wells on it, along with a few other upgrades that will hopefully make it so that I can still have a nifty remote control on a pocket computer, but at the same time, be much faster. That's at least the plan. So let's get started. So the core functionality of this build is going to be built around mining wells. And I know you guys have probably seen me use mining wells and quarries before, but to be honest with you, there really is nothing that's better than them as far as I can come up with. There might be something out there, possibly, but to be honest with you, they're pretty darn awesome in terms of their speed and their ability to mine. One of the things that's really important in this system is the capability for the mining well to go from surface to bedrock all in one shot. So a lot of other mining systems don't really do that, or don't do it with the speed and efficiency that the mining wells do. Now the downside to mining wells is A, that they drain power whenever they are hooked up to power, basically. So even when they're not mining, they still drain energy. And we're going to do a little bit of testing to demonstrate that. The other downside to mining wells is that well, I think that's about it. They use a lot of power. That's up there, right? So there's a lot of power used with mining wells. But otherwise, I think we're in pretty good shape. Now, I'm debating exactly how I want this whole thing to go down. So I'm snagging myself some frame blocks and some hollow frame covers. And I should probably even grab a frame pusher or two. That should be fine. 1 and 2. And what else are we going to do with this thing? We're probably going to want some redstone. I'm going to use some components of my previous build in this, but not a terribly large amount. Let's see. Can I get some more smart cable? Or do I have pretty much... Yeah, I can snag a few more. I think I'm going to need to set up a wool farm soon, because I keep running low on wool, and then I run outside and make, shear it up, and then come back inside and say I should make a wool farm, and then never do. So maybe a soon episode we'll be doing a wool farm. But we'll see. Here we go. I'll just sleep through here. What else am I going to need for this build? I'm kind of debating right now if I want to destroy the existing mining well or just, add a new one. I'm thinking I would like to add a new one because it is kind of a cool build and it is neat. And then I hesitate to, take it away. But on the other hand, I'm probably not going to use it much after I do the mining wells. So I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do with that. I'm guessing some of you guys would like the old mining system to stick around just so you can play with it. So that's what I might wind up doing just for you guys. But at the very least, I've got an ME controller. I haven't taught this thing how to make tesseracts yet, but I might steal the tesseract from that system. And a couple other things. There's probably 1 or 2 other things I'm going to want. So why don't I get down there and start building, and then as we come up with things that we're going to need, I can go ahead and snag them. So let's get started with the new mining system build. So I'm just going to fly over here. In the end, I'm probably going to wind up wanting, so let's see, what do we got here? So this is, let's do this. I wouldn't mind having this thing contained within a chunk. So maybe I'll do this. This probably won't be a terrible idea. Yeah, I'm going to start here with it. There we go. So it's all within one chunk. That's probably a good idea. And what we're going to have on the front here is some mining wells. Now, I've only crafted a few of these because I want to get like a base plan going, and then we'll come back and expand it, right? So let's actually just start it over on the right side here. So I'm just going to... Wow, he's not easy to break, is he? So let's put this thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, straight across. Now what I've decided I want to do is still use the ME system that I had going on. So we're going to wind up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interfaces on top. And for this to work, then we're going to need some frames behind it, but I'm also going to need some cable going into it. So let's get a smart cable here. And just to get this thing set up, let's go with a controller right here. And I'm going to snag the power from this line. So let's steal the tesseract from here first. I didn't want to destroy this thing. Alright, so let's place down the tesseract. Cool. And you can see the energy flowing through there. And you'll also notice that the Smart Flux cable is using 5 channels currently. That's a good thing. It means I only need one piece of cable going over to here. So let's get some clear hollow frame covers. We'll put those guys on either side of this thing just to make sure we don't have any problems there. And then regarding power, we're probably going to want to break these blocks and get some power lines flowing from point A to point B. Now for power for this, we're going to want something very particular and special, and I'll get into what that's going to be in just a moment. But before we touch on that, let's take a look at some other stuff that we're going to want to put on here. So let's, I am somewhat breaking this apart, but I'm going to take these guys, and I'm going to also take this, and I want to make sure this is labeled. So always before you break a computer, do a label get, make sure there's a label on it, and then I can go ahead and pick this guy up and not worry too much about him having a problem. So what we'll probably wind up with here is the following. Oh, you know what else we're going to want? Is we're going to want these things like so. Cool. And then this across here is going to be important. Cool. So the computer can go here, and this thing should just pick up and start working almost immediately. Because remember, his only job was to report back about his location. So reboot him, and I should be able to say, using this thing, refresh coordinates, and it knows where he is. So I can still do things, right? It just won't, you know, be moving this anymore. Eventually, we're going to wind up having it move this thing. Cool. So that's in place now. What else are we going to want to set up with this? We can place in our disk drive. And we might wind up having to move the computer. That'll be fine. Disk drive's in position, and we'll also snag this thing. Come on now. And this thing. Perfect. All right, so let's go get the power system that we're going to wind up using for the ME interfaces, and I will be right back. So the type of power transfer I want to use are the energy pipes from extra utilities because they support microblocks, and it's important for that distinction because we're going to need microblocks with the frames stuff for this to work. The other thing we're going to want is an energy node, I believe it's called. So let's see, node. Okay, maybe not. So there's transfer nodes for energy, but that one's okay. But what I'd really like is the hyper energy transfer node, and that's going to require a bedrockium ingot. Oh boy, that's going to be tricky. I don't know if I quite have enough for that, do I? Yeah, probably not. So let's get into whether or not I'll be able to manage that. Requires a lot of cobble. I just don't have that much at the moment, do I? Well, if I'm not going to make the hyper one, let me see if there's anything else I can use that's microblock compatible for power. Alright guys, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and make this thing anyway. So let's do this. We're going to need that breadth first search thing that I just made, and we're also going to need transfer nodes times 4. And we're finally going to need some gold times 4. We'll use the basic transfer node for energy for now, and then maybe we'll get a cobblestone generator set up so we can start working on some other cool stuff. So I need this thing. You go in the middle, and the transfer nodes go on the sides, and the gold ingot here. There we go. And that should start cooking. Nice. While that runs, I'm going to figure out what else I need and be right back. Alright, so for now, like I said, we're going to use the simple transfer energy node. We're going to want our covers and everything set up, so we'll pop this guy here with a cover like so, and here, and just to be safe, we'll have one here as well, so this thing's got covers on all sides and ready to go. Then we can have energy nodes going into all these things. Now, I'm not quite ready for this stuff. Well, I guess I am. I could, I mean, it should work. So let's do it. I mean, I'm just going to do it with one. How's that sound? Boom. Nice. So that is that thing running. Cool. You can see it's not running particularly fast yet because we just have the basic energy node. I think it can only handle just a small amount of energy. But what I would be interested in is if it's still draining. So if we remove the tesseract, what we should see is the energy draining still. Gotcha. So that's what we can expect to see happen. So we're definitely going to want to disable that at some point. I might wind up doing it with a second tesseract. I'm not quite sure yet. But let's go ahead and connect up the rest of these things. Sweet. Nice. All right, and then covers. So we're going to want cover, 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 and hollow covers here, 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 and here. And then we'll probably want a cover here, there and there, and then a hollow cover on this guy, connecting this thing. Sweet. So that looks pretty good. Let's now also set up our frame pusher, so we can do something like this. And I might compact this down a little bit more compactly, but for now it'll kind of work. I just want to get it working and see that everything's behaving. So for the frame pusher, let's go ahead and do something like this. I could do that guy. We can give him a redstone signal, and then this thing can have the redstone signal that's steady. So let's test that. Well, that's not exactly what I wanted to see happen, so I definitely missed a connection somewhere. So let me go get a puller, and I'll be right back. So I think the missing frame component was right there. So we're going to try this again with another frame pusher. I think that worked. Right? Yes, that seemed to work. Try one more time. All right, we're going to need this guy set up this way. I need an energy conduit here. This is just all, of course, preliminary testing and making sure everything's working properly kind of stuff. Here goes. Once more, testing, frame working. Yeah, it works great. Okay, cool. Be right back. So guys, now that I've got a little bit of auto motion going on here, I'd like to show you just how fast this is. So let's go ahead and flip the lever. And not too shabby. Straight down to bedrock, pretty darn quickly. So that is what we're talking about when we're saying this is a pretty fast system. And you can see I've set it up to, self-maintain. So I just flip, and done and done. Cool. So now all I need to do is relocate a few things. So for example, the thing that moved us forward in that direction was 5. So if I went ahead and picked this up and placed him, for example, right here, and made that 5, whoops, there we go. Every time I hit the forward button on this thing, it should trigger it to move forward. Awesome. That's what I wanted to see. Nice. Cool. All right. The other thing is, I wanted to have that tesseract next to my ME drive, didn't I? Yes, I did. or at least very close to it. Let's go ahead and rearrange this thing just a little bit. So we've got our conduits again, right? So we're going to extract on green and insert on brown. Extract will be active with signal. I don't know if that just worked or not. Yeah, okay, that's cool, because it's not set yet. So an insert will be on brown, so that's that. And then this guy here will extract on brown, always active. Insert on green. Cool. So that if I then configure this guy to be 7 and say send items, sweet, that's working beautifully. So I could now say forward, and it just works. Awesome. And I can refresh my frame coordinates, and everything's behaving as you would expect. I like it. And of course, I derped and forgot to put frames here, so these things have to be reconfigured. So guys, one of the things we wanted to worry about with regards to this system is that when we leave the Tesseract on, it's always going to be steadily draining power, even if the quarry's not moving, and that's something we want to prevent. So I added a new button to my program here called Power. All that it does is when you click it, it turns green, and it turns on the redstone signal frequency 8. And when we click it again, it turns off, and it makes frequency 8 turn off. So let's go ahead and set this up so that this turns on and off the Tesseract. That's what we're going to do. And it should work out and be very, very straightforward and easy. As soon as I figure out exactly where on this Tesseract I can tap into things. So I'm thinking maybe put this here, make this 8 set. We're going to use some bundled cables here and here. Remove this thing. We're going to take east and disable it. And we're going to take, I guess, down, color red, that's fine. This is north. So we're going to make that in and out, like so. And let's see what happens. So notice that currently things are disabled. And if I right-click this thing and say power, boom, everything should turn on. Nice. And if I click this thing and say power again, there we go, it should turn off pretty much instantly. That is awesome. That's pretty much what I was looking for. So we'll refresh coordinates, we'll hit power again. Nice. That's cool. So now we can easily turn on and off the power to this thing, making it so that it no longer wastes energy. I like it. This guy's probably not connected to a frame right there. So we're going to want to make sure that we add that as a frame connection point here and here. So let's give this thing a try. So power is currently disabled, so let's turn it on once I get back up there. So I'm going to modify the cycle program to turn on power and then go forward 1. Wait a few seconds for it to hit bedrock and then turn off power. Cool. That should work. Or maybe I'll just have cycle, I don't know, we'll see. I'll figure something out. But definitely coming together. Oh, and you should note, just for those of you who are interested in playing with the old system, any changes I'm making to the program here are going into frame 2. Frame 1 is the old code. So you'll see here, if I edit startup, we should see it's running frame 2. If I run frame, there's no power button. And if I run frame 2, there is a power button. Cool? So just keep that in mind. And I'm going to come back in a minute here once I'm ready for the next part of this. Alright guys, now for something completely different. I have an idea. I'm not 100% sure if this will work, but I'm hoping it does. I'm going to try and move this whole setup that I've got straight over to here. Now clearly I am short on inventory space, so let's drop those things and that should be fine. I'm thinking I should be able to set up my dimensional transceiver so that I can transport from point A to point B on my frame quarry. And that would be really cool because it would save me having to fly these far distances, especially because this frame quarry is going to be moving forward much faster than that one was. So we're very quickly going to get to the point where flying and catching up with our frame quarry is going to be a giant nuisance. So let's configure it. First off, can tracks be placed on? Yes, they can. awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to see. All right, so we are going to have an ender rail. We are going to have the dimensional transceiver here. This guy can be configured like so. We may need to have some frame blocks like this to get things behaving. Where's my... Okay. I probably just need to have some more track here. This is a locking track. Okay, cool. That's fine. We may want some normal track here just to be safe. Maybe this here can be my detector for players. And this can be... I'm going to need my crowbar. I don't think that's in my blue bag, is it? Crowbar? Probably not. Oh, you know what? I can probably just, as long as I have some normal rails, I think I'll be all right. So let's go get some of those. See this flight back and forth? This is what I'm trying to avoid. Probably should have grabbed some rails before I left, but that's okay. That'll do. So I'm beating up the old system, unfortunately, but hey, that's the name of progress, right? Destroy the old, implement the new. Then we just have to test to see if this works. So you can go here, and this thing can go here. Just right-click that. I believe this dimensional transceiver should have remembered its settings, so rail cart, good. And the only other thing we're going to want is the actual card itself. So first things first, will this work? Okay, yes, I'm going to have to... So player detector should have... Oh, that's right. I'm going to definitely need to get my crowbar, but I'll get that in a minute. This is going to need a steady redstone signal of some sort. So if I could, by chance, a lever might stick on this. Nope, won't transfer through. Okay, so let's get a redstone block probably. Maybe... Well, if we put a redstone block here, we should be cool, right? Yeah. Let me just borrow this for a minute. And we're just going to have to test to make sure that everything behaves. But I think this redstone block being right here should be okay, as a matter of fact. Nice. So step one, we're going to test this component. Nice, look at that. Gets us back to our base. That's what I wanted to see. Now, where's my crowbar, by chance? Up here? Nice, that's where it is. And what else did I want while I was here? Another redstone block. Thank you. Pop back down, ride the cart. Oh boy. All right, good to know. We're going to want a block to stop us there. So what better block to use than just a simple frame block? That should work just fine. I thought you would like locking track lock me, but maybe not. Yes, boarding mode. May not need this block here, but we'll find out in a minute. Let's actually test that. We will ride our cart back and forth, so we'll do that. Hopping in should cook me across. Nice. And then, same thing, riding back. Are you going to lock me? Yeah, you are. That's cool. But he actually did go a little bit further still, so we will want our frame block there. So everything's working great. Now we just need to test to make sure we can still move the whole thing forward and don't have any gum-ups. So let's go forward. That worked pretty well. Let's make sure that it'll work with this thing on. So let's make sure our power's on because we want to make sure to keep our frame sliders and pushers powered. And it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to mine that thing. So real quick test once more forward. Will it move the item entity? It should, I want to say. Nice. It does. And can I ride the cart still? Oh, that's cool. And will it connect on the backboard? This is the last thing to really test. Oh, that's neat. So really all I need to do is probably add that kick me out of the cart thing, which shouldn't be too hard to add. Might need a little bit more frame spacing, but I mean, that's pretty cool, right? So everything's working, and I can frame forward again. You'll notice that it's dragging the cart along with it, if the cart happens to be here. Frame forward again. And even if the cart's not here, it shouldn't be a problem. So let's frame forward again. So right now it's at 2071, 195 forward. 194. And we should be able to ride this back there and arrive at the location. Nice. So the reason I'm bouncing back is because it's detecting a player still in the cart. I might wind up actually just not even having that cart thing go on. Like, what if we just did this? What if we didn't use you? And we just had normal rail cart here. Because I should be able to just push forward, right? And be good to go to ride it out. So, like, just because we want to keep it compact, right? I think that's probably a good idea. So yeah, we'll hold shift, or we'll hold forward and we'll kick across. That works. Nice. So a lot of people have actually asked about a system like this. How can I teleport to my moving frame? There you go. This is how you teleport to a moving frame platform. Use dimensional transceivers and the ender rails. And remember, the dimensional transceivers are bound to the dimensional transceiver's position in the world. So because we're moving the dimensional transceiver, you're able to teleport to it every time. Pretty sure this is the only way to do this in the current mod set, as far as I know. All right, let's cut that power system and come back in a minute. All right, guys, so just a couple more minor adjustments here. I made the cycle button, instead of doing what it did before, change things up a little bit. So when I hit cycle, it should activate the power, move forward once, wait about 10 seconds, and then turn off the power. Let's give it a shot. So cycle, you'll see that power is on, and we moved forward once, and the forward function is completed. And then power should shut off in just a few seconds here, and we'll see that in the tesseract and the frequency 8. There we go. Cool. So that's what cycle does. And I'm probably going to write a little bit of a function to maybe say, like, you know, because I have things like, you know, that I need to rearrange here. Like, we're not going to need up and down. We're not going to need backward, bedrock or sea level. We're not going to need most of these things, right? We just have function. We have forward. We have power. Send items is definitely going to be a necessary one that we're going to want to have here. By the way, speaking of, I should modify send items. Power needs to be on for send items to work, right? Because it sends them into the tesseract. So if the power's off, then the tesseract, no work, no good type of deal. Speaking of, what's going on back at our base? Our stuff's stuck. Let's go investigate, shall we? There we go. Why is our stuff stuck? I'm legitimately, like, not aware as to why it's stuck. Okie dokie. Let's pop back out there. So yeah, minor changes to the program are going to need to be done, but really nothing major. That's so weird. Where did it go, if not into there? I'm legitimately not aware of where that might have gone. Unless there's... Did I put a tesseract somewhere else on frequency 1 that can receive items? I don't think so. Yeah, like, I'm not even kidding right now, guys. I have no idea what happened to these items. Let's see. Items go into here, so they should come out green, go into the top of this thing. Very weird. Okay. Can I make a new 4K storage cell by chance? Missing calculation processor. So let's get ourselves some pure Certus. Just one should do. And here I was all about to wrap up the episode, and then something weird happened. Oh, it probably just went ahead and used it, didn't it? Maybe it snagged it because it was out of... I didn't think it was capable to snag it out of those drives, but maybe that's what happened? That's the only thing I can think of that happened, is because we're out of 4K drives, it like stored it over here to be used by this thing. That doesn't explain what happened to the 1K drive, though. Yeah, see, it's not even there. That is really strange. Wow, you are just snag these guys. While we take them, we'll cook up a few more. Should be able to craft this now, right? Good. Cool. So I think what I'm going to do is wrap up the episode here, get a couple changes to the Pocket computer so that it really only has the functions that we need for the new program. And I mean, to be honest with you, it's pretty easy to remove things, right? So I can actually just, with a couple button presses on another screen that I have here, and reboot this guy, should get rid of the up and down buttons. So removing buttons is really easy. But I want to change a few things. Like I said, I want send items to turn on power. I probably want to turn off power at the moment here, so let's make sure that that's off. And I'm going to get my 4K stuff. And for now, Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We will be back next time. Hopefully find out what happened to my items. That would be nice. And maybe even... Hey, where'd you go? Why didn't you teleport? Maybe figure out why I just didn't teleport just now. Oh, wait. No. Actually, no. That shouldn't matter. Oh, there we go. I made it. Maybe it was just a weird fluke. But we're here now. Still no items here, but I'm going to throw my 4K cell back in. Cool. So let's just real quick test this again. I'm going to do a cycle, which should mine for me, and we should be getting a bunch of stuff. What I'm going to do is put my player detector in here, just in case. And then I'm going to make sure power is on, hit send items, should send them out, and then they should show back up, but they're not. That is the weirdest thing. Oh well, I'll track down the cause of that. One thing I'm interested to find out is if the player detector did make it into my AE system. So, player detector? No, it didn't make it over here. So it must be going somewhere. I'm going to look around to see if I have any item connections, because like obviously this guy, he's configured to only send energy. I know I have another Tesseract or two laying around, so maybe it made its way over to that thing over there. I'll find it. It's somewhere. All right, guys. Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.